This is your News Source Evening Bulletin for today, Wednesday, the 30th day of November in the year 2022. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. The PP Civic Administration, through the Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh, today approached the National Assembly for another $44.4 billion in supplementary funding and clearance for some $2.9 billion in advances taken from the contingency fund. The request comes approximately 3 months after the National Assembly approved an additional $44.8 billion in supplementary funding for major transformational work that the government says it was doing in housing, water, education, public works, and local government. And this came after the $552.9 billion budget, which was approved in February of this year.
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Member Zulfikar stood in this House and he spoke about the flourishing economy. The World Bank report, Mr. Speaker, says that 50% of Guyanese are living below the poverty line. What are they talking about? Who is this wealth going to? 50% of the people are living below the poverty line, Mr. Speaker. So what are we talking about? And then at 3:17 this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, we receive an email for a supplementary provision of how much? $44 billion that is going to be considered in this seating today. Mr. Speaker, it tells me that is the real reason we are here, because they have to dip into the kitty once again to spend and spend and spend in a manner that is not impacting the life of the ordinary Guyanese.
According to the financial papers laid in the National Assembly today by the Finance Minister, $44.4 billion is now being sought, largely for infrastructural works. According to the documents, an estimated $2.07 billion is needed as part of the Indian line of credit to facilitate advancement of works ongoing on the East Bank to East Coast and Marara Road linkage. Under the Ministry of Public Works, another $18.1 billion is being sought to facilitate the upgrading of miscellaneous roads and drains in various communities, and $938.2 million to advance civil works on the Linden to Mabura Road project. Notably, an additional $7.2 billion is being sought under the China Exim Bank loan facility, and this is to facilitate the mobilization advance on the reconstruction of the Sheriff Street to Orange Nassau on the Railway Embankment Road and Belfield to Orange Nassau on the East Coast of Marara Highway. In total, a whopping $28.4 billion is being sought for the Ministry of Public Works. Under the Ministry of Housing and Water, the government is asking the House to approve $275.9 million, which it said is needed to facilitate the completion of water supply inventions. Under the Ministry of Housing and Water, the government is asking the House to approve $275.9 million, which it said is needed to facilitate the completion of water supply interventions in the hinterland areas and the procurement of a new drilling rig. Also, under the Ministry of Home Affairs, government is seeking a total of $427.5 million for the procurement of vehicles to boost the operational effectiveness of the Guyana Police Force and the closure of the Citizen Security Strengthening Program. According to the financial paper, $14.7 billion is being sought for current projects and programs, while $29.6 billion is being sought for capital projects. Meanwhile, financial paper number 2 of 2022 contains advances taken from the contingency fund to the tune of $2.9 billion. The expenditure reportedly took place between August and November of this year. The opposition today raised concern about the second supplementary budget coming from the government. More news when we return in just a moment.
Something big is here. GTT presents the moment you've all been waiting for.
'Tis the season to drive with GTT. Get your chance to be one of 4 lucky winners of a Toyota Raise, plus weekly giveaways and more. Simply activate a prepaid plan, sign up for fiber and voice plan, pay any 2 bills with MMG, or join the GTT family, and vroom! It could be you. 4 Toyota Raises, 4 winners. Drive with GTT.
Giftland Office Max, we're all about customer satisfaction. Whether it's clothing and shoes for the ladies, gents, and kids, or for the latest electronics or hardware appliance, we're always thinking of satisfying you, our dear customers. Now you can shop online at www.giftlandofficemax.com or visit us at the Giftland Mall, where we're happy to serve each and every one of you.
Sorrel making, garlic stirring, ham and black cake eating. Now this is Christmas. 'Tis the season to get what you've always wanted with a little help from Republic Bank. Same day approvals apply online. It's time to make it happen for yourself and your family. Get cash back for the best Christmas ever. Sorrel making, garlic stirring, ham and black cake eating. Now this is Christmas.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Mobil 1 is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil 1 adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Sol Guyana is the authorized distributor of Mobil lubricants.
Get in the game with Buster. Win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Let's tell you now that Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport Charles Ramson Jr. took the stand today at the Elections Commission of Inquiry hearing. And he testified that the police blocked him from submitting his request for a recount of the votes cast in Region 4 during the last elections. Mr. Ramson said another attempt to submit his request was met with threats, including death threats and abusive language from a group of APNU AFC supporters, who he described as a mob. Minister Ramson, who was an agent for his party, the PPP, at the last elections, explained that moments after the Region 4 returning officer Clement Mingo declared the results of the votes cast in Region 4 on the 5th of March, he attempted to submit a request for a recount, but he was blocked from doing so.
Well, I attempted to serve this letter on Mr. Mingo, who was already up on the top floor, and I was blocked by police officers who were manning the stairway.
How did you know they were police officers?
They were dressed in uniform.
Ramson told the commission that he waited hours in the command center with the hope of seeing the returning officer. But when he finally did, Mr. Mingo was being escorted out the building by the police.
And then I saw Mr. Mingo emerge from the top floor. The position that I was in, I was able to see what was happening on the top floor. And this is from the ground floor. And I saw him emerge, but he was circled by police officers, all in uniform, and they were rapidly escorting him down the back stairway, so another stairway, but I can see it because there were glass doors that you can see portions of when he was moving. So I ran with the letter, which I still had in my possession, to serve him. And then when we got through when we opened the door, moving into one of the sections, but still a little way away from him, police officers stopped me once again and prevented me from proceeding.
Ramson explained that he was statutorily required to submit a request for a recount within 24 hours of the declaration, and as such, time was of the essence. He said in an attempt to meet the deadline, he sent copies of the letters of the request to the chairman of GCOM, the then CEO, Keith Lowenfield, and the returning officer. but all his messages were met with no response. He said after his attempts to submit a request on the 5th of March failed, he returned to GCOM and the command center at Hatfield Street on the 6th of March, but found the building tightly shut. According to him, the steel shutters were down and barricades erected around the premises. He said to compound the situation, there was a large group of APNU AFC supporters hurling insulting remarks at him.
Correct. In fact, to get in there was a mob outside of the Ashman's building, but maybe about 100 meters away, and on attempting to get in there, that was when there was a lot of threatening happening, a lot of abusive behavior. And
in support of his claims, the minister provided the commission with a video recording with some persons threatening him. He said though police ranks were present, they did nothing. He also said he was eventually allowed access to the command center along with Lennox Schumann of the Liberty and Justice Party to submit the recount request. During his testimony, Ramsden also recalled seeing Election Commissioner Charles Corbin huddling the GCOM chair in an attempt to prevent persons from approaching her after Mr. Mingo had made his first attempt at a declaration. Ramsden, who's also an attorney, said the GCOM chairman was being engulfed by the Election Commissioner, though there was no visible threat. In fact, he said there were mostly GCOM officials, party agents, local international observers and diplomats present at the time. A small wooden house was completely destroyed this morning as excavation works in Poker Street in Wismar-Linden led to a landslide. A private contractor was clearing an area for a drain to ease flooding in the area when the soil got loose and came tumbling down, taking the small house and a number of electrical power poles with it. No one was seriously injured by the landslide, but there are reports that 3 elderly persons who lived in a small house that collapsed under the landslide have been left homeless. The situation also led to power outages in the area as major lines attached to the power poles were damaged as the poles were shifted by the landslide. The landslide blocked off a section of Poker Street and regional officials were at the scene assessing the damages and looking at possible works that will have to be done. In the world of politics, maintaining that an ordinary law cannot trump the Constitution, the APNU-AFC has warned against moving ahead with another major election without first cleaning the voters' list of dead people and those who have long migrated. Chief Justice Roxanne George in August of 2019 ruled that residency was not a requirement for voting in Guyana, but APNU-AFC Executive Elson Lowe said it was purely a legal matter. He contended that the Chief Justice, in arriving at her decision, relied heavily on the National Registration Act. However, he was keen on pointing out that the country's supreme law, the Constitution, did not provide the necessary cover.
As such, all pre-existing clauses in our secondary legislation that mandate a residency test have been nullified. The unintended consequences of the Chief Justice's pure legal ruling, however, jeopardize Guyana's democracy and political stability. The immediate jeopardy is the increased bloating of the NRR and the list of electors to the point where the number of names on both lists will soon surpass the total national population.
Lowe said the situation is simply unacceptable, contending that the nullification of the residency requirement could result in the reintroduction of overseas voting.
A case could now be made that all adult Guyanese citizens have a right to register and to vote regardless of where they live in the world. Even more, a court could accept the argument that GCOM must do all in its power to ensure these non-resident citizens can exercise this right without undue burden, such as finding the time and money to travel to and from Guyana. In a nutshell, we are looking at the possible reintroduction of overseas or external voting. For a variety of reasons, democratic, financial, administrative, political, and historic, Guyana must urgently shut the door on this possibility.
Urging Parliament to take up its responsibility, Lowe said Parliament must urgently address the unintended consequences of the Chief Justice's legal ruling.
Parliament must seek to prevent the political dangers the absence of a residency test will provoke. Parliament must ensure that elections in Guyana are accurate, credible, and can win the public trust.
The APNU-AFC member recalled that the Guyana Elections Commission in the past had taken the decision to produce a fresh national register of registrants every 7 years to ensure a clean voters list. That commitment, he said, should be honored.
It's November already and soon it will be Christmas, so we at John Lewis Styles are giving away one Amazon Echo show every week in November and every day in December. Stream music and videos, make video calls and control smart devices, alarms, reminders and lots more. Every $5,000 spent gives you a chance to win when you shop for clothing, footwear, watches, fragrances, handbags, luggage and accessories. So visit us on Waterloo Street. John Lewis Styles, simply different.
Did you know that the government has funded the 2022 budget through oil revenues? Yes, money earned from oil production offshore is being used to support projects in Guyana, including social programs like the increase of public assistance and old age pension, as well as cash grants to support the vulnerable members of society.
Get set, go! Guyana, get ready! It's the 60th National School Cycling, Swimming and Track and Field Championships from November 27th all the way through December 2nd. Hosted by the Ministry of Education and the Guyana Teachers Union. The moment you've been waiting for is here. Come and see the top student athletes and teachers from 15 sporting districts compete in intense rivalries. Come and enjoy cycling November 28th at the National Park Georgetown and swimming at the National Aquatic Center Liliendal. Witness the track and field action at the National Track and Field Center Lenora, West Coast Demerara on November 29, all the way through December 2nd. Action starts at 10 hours. The National Championships, where stars are born.
GBTI Quick Cash Christmas is back, just the way you like it. Get up to $500,000 easy for anything you want this Christmas. We ain't waiting on Santa. We buy and we own this Christmas. Apply at your nearest branch or online at www.gbtibank.com from October 15th to December 31st. GBTI, we see Christmas through your eyes. Terms and conditions apply.
A very Merry Guyanese Christmas.
As investigations continue into the murder of 85-year-old Bushlot Berbice resident Samintra Saw, the Guyana Police Force has issued a wanted bulletin for one of her neighbors who is the main suspect in the crime. Wanted is this man, 48-year-old Mohammed Ramzan Shahid. He was named as the other persons involved in the crime by the great niece of the dead woman, who has admitted to playing a role in the murder plot. The Guyana Police Force has confirmed that the great niece, Roshani Basdio, confessed to a role in the murder plot, telling investigators that the plot was hatched by the neighbor, Mohammed Shahid, and carried out by him. She admitted to allowing the man access to the house to rob her great aunt of her money. The man reportedly went to the elderly woman's room with a large object and began hitting her to the head. The great niece said she attempted to stop him, but he walked away from the house with a bag of money that the elderly woman had stored in her room. The great niece remains in police custody and will face charges. A post-mortem examination of the elderly woman's body revealed that she was strangled, stabbed, and badly beaten. Investigators said a total of 7 stab wounds were found on her body, in addition to other injuries. The murder has rocked the Bushlot community, leaving many of the residents in disbelief. Investigations are ongoing tonight. Mobile telecommunications company Digicel has announced that it has launched the electronic SIMs in Guyana. The move is to support eSIM-enabled devices like the new iPhone 14. An eSIM is a digital version of the physical SIM card that customers now use to connect to the various networks via smartphone, tablets, or other devices. With eSIMs, users will enjoy faster data speeds and superior LTE coverage. The eSIM is embedded into the device for easy setup and out-of-the-box use that ensures seamless connectivity to the network in seconds. According to Digicel, new subscribers purchasing an eSIM from today until the end of December will also be eligible for the company's bonus 10 gig promotion for the holiday season.
Census takers are visiting communities across Guyana and collecting information from every household. This information will help the government to plan better for our country's development. All the information shared will be treated as strictly confidential, and everyone is asked to participate. No one should be alarmed about any question asked, because the answers provided will help to improve living standards, decrease community crime rates, and improve access to housing and healthcare, among other benefits.
The census gives us the tool to identify some of these important gaps that exist across communities, within communities, and across regions, so that we can have targeted intervention.
Yeah, we counting way from region 1 to region 10, the whole country. Yeah, we counting way.
Food Max Supermarket, located on the ground floor of the Giftland Mall, is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. We stock a variety of imported frozen meat and food products, fresh produce, and pet supplies, freshly made bread. Rotisserie chicken and patties are also available daily. Shop in comfort today at Food Max and let our courteous staff assist you in satisfying your shopping needs. Food Max, the fresh food specialist.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true, or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Buster, win a full gaming setup, Xbox X, gaming chair, gaming speaker and headset, or any of over 60 weekly prizes like Oculus Quest 2, Mini 2 drone, Nintendo Switch, and many more top gaming prizes. Check below for details.
Fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up, fuel it up and drive, Super 95. Tune up, protect your fuel system, boy. High mileage and performance, boy.
Guy Super 95 gasoline gives you more reasons to drive and is available at 56 service stations nationwide. For affordable price, high performance, and high mileage, choose Guy Super 95 gasoline.
Fuel it up and drive!
Across the region tonight, U.S. President Joe Biden is planning to send two top advisors to Brazil to meet President-elect Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva next week. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and Latin American Advisor Juan Gonzalez are expected to meet Lula in Brazil on the 5th of December. According to one source, the meeting is intended to reaffirm the partnership between Brazil and the U.S. The agenda will also touch on Lula's inauguration in January, which U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is expected to attend. Prior to the election, the U.S. government had already reached out to Lula's campaign. Lula met with the U.S. Embassy's chargé d'affaires as recently as September. Biden was one of the first heads of state to congratulate Lula on his victory against Jair Bolsonaro on the night of the election. Today marked the end of the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season. This year's hurricane season saw the development of 40 named storms, 8 of which became hurricanes. 2 developed into major hurricanes, Hurricanes Fiona and Ian. Fiona was the strongest storm this year. The U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration in its June forecast said there was a 65% chance of an above-normal season, a 25% chance of a near-normal season, and a 10% chance of a below-normal season. The organization described the hurricane season as unique due to the rare mid-season pause in storms that scientists believe was caused by increased wind shear and suppressed atmospheric moisture high over the Atlantic Ocean. With all eyes now on the 2023 Atlantic hurricane season, which begins on the 1st of June next year, the National Oceanic Organization is urging persons to ensure their families are prepared early. And finally tonight, international news. U.S. lawmaker Hakeem Jeffries has been unanimously elected to succeed Nancy Pelosi as the Democratic leader in the House of Representatives. The 4-term New York congressman has served in the 5th highest rank of Democratic leadership since 2019. With his ascension to the top spot held by Mrs. Pelosi for 2 decades, he will be the first black person to lead a major party in the U.S. Congress. But he would be minority leader and not the speaker. In the U.S. midterm elections earlier this month, Republicans failed to secure the red wave of victories many had predicted, but regained a slim majority in the House, Congress's lower chamber. California Republican Kevin McCarthy, who currently serves as minority leader, was nominated as the party's choice to be House Speaker, but he must win a majority vote of the full House, 218 votes, in January to secure that role. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.